What's up, friends? It's your old pal Scott here, and man, 2020, it's almost over, and kind of wanted to go through my year and talk about some of the things that I've done this year. It's been a weird year for everybody, I think, and I was way less productive than I have been in years past, but just sort of going through month by month, I actually did some stuff. So I just kind of want to recap 2020 and talk about the things that I did, talk about what I missed out on, and maybe look ahead a little to 2021. My God. I haven't driven this car in probably a month because, like, why would I have to? We don't have to go anywhere. All right, so I've got my regular vlogging setup here. I don't know if I've shown you guys this yet, but this is my normal vlogging setup. It's my XT30 with the XC 15-45 power zoom kit lens, which I love for vlogging because that 15mm is a nice wide angle. I've got a Sarian Q1 mic on a Ucluelet tripod that has a cold shoe on the side that you can actually rotate, so you can have a rear-facing mic if you need it, and then rotate it for a front-facing mic for when you're vlogging. Got the selfie target mirror on here so I can frame myself, and a little light in case I need it. Right now I've got my Galaxy S10 on a whole bunch of Ucluelet gear set up on my windshield on a suction cup mount. So I'll leave a link to Ucluelet's website down in the description. It's not a sponsored video, but I am an affiliate and I use their gear all the time. Most of it I bought before I was an affiliate. So let that be a lesson to you other YouTubers out there. If you want to work with a brand, maybe own some of their gear before you talk to them. How's about a nice little walk through the forest? That sounds good, right? Man, you know, I live in such a beautiful place and I don't take advantage of it enough. And you would think that as this year has been such a garbage fire of a year, that I would have done more cool stuff around where I live. But I haven't, because I'm an idiot. Anyways, I don't think that footage in my car was working out. Autofocus was all over the place on that phone. So we're gonna find somewhere here to film, but like, check this out. This is right by my house, you guys. Nice little ravine. Look at that, just beautiful. And this is in a park that's like maybe 2 minutes from my house, and there's some covered picnic areas right here where I'm gonna set up my camera and I'm gonna sit down. 2020, let's talk about it. So in early January 2020, I made a quick trip to Bellingham in Washington State, which is a town just across the border from where I live in Vancouver, and it's nice and close, and we have a mailbox down across the line, and you know, it's just sort of a spur of the moment place to go. And that was really the last on a whim trip that I took before the pandemic really got going. And at the time, I was reviewing the Canon M5, which was not a new camera, but it was new to me. That is now my studio camera. I still use it. It's a great camera. The autofocus is great for that type of work. The color science and the 1080 footage that come out of it are just usable straight away. I don't have to do anything to them. It's fantastic. You know, and I will say that just popping down to the United States is something that I think I miss the most out of a lot of things this year. That's something that I do really miss, and I miss my American pals. I miss eating at weird American restaurants and cafes and eating gigantic portions of incredibly unhealthy food, which, you know, I can do in Canada, but it's really an American thing, like really an American thing. And I spent most of February planning for future trips, specifically the one in March to San Diego and Yuma. I was going to be shooting an air show in Yuma, so I was doing a lot of location scouting and stuff like that. Yeah, February was kind of like I wish I had done more, because it was like that last full free month where I could do whatever I wanted. And looking back now, I sort of regret that I didn't do really anything. Yeah, hindsight, man. So March, I think we all remember March 2020 is the month that never ended. I still think it's March 2020. I'm pretty sure. But I got on a plane a couple of weeks into March and was flying down to San Diego, and then on to Yuma for that air show and to visit with my parents who spend the winters down there. And as my plane was pulling away from the gate, they announced the global pandemic and advised against international travel, and I was already like taxiing to the runway. So, you know, sometimes shit happens and you just have to roll with it. So I ended up in San Diego. I got a few cool shots in San Diego, and ended up in Yuma the next day, frantically trying to find a flight home because I knew that travel was about to become very, very difficult, and it was worth the extra money and time that I spent getting home safely. So I'm thankful that I did that, and then had to quarantine for 2 weeks when I got home. Really didn't do much the rest of the month of March, other than after my quarantine was up, went back to work, because I work in an essential service. So yeah, March was wild. And then April 2020, I think, was my most productive month of the year, and I thought that that was how the rest of the year was going to go, simply because we couldn't do anything else. So I thought, well, this is great. I've got all this time. I'm going to work on projects that I've wanted to work on for a long time, and that did not happen at all. But April was great. April, I did a photo project of boarded up businesses in downtown Vancouver, because everything closed in April. Everything. Hotels, restaurants, shops, everything closed. And people were worried about looting, so they boarded up their windows and doors. It's funny looking back on that now, when the pandemic now is exponentially worse than it was then, but everything's just kind of open and normal-ish. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I got a lot of flack for being out taking photos. I did another photo project, which was Pandemid Portraits, where I went and did portraits of people and families from a distance with telephoto lenses. It was kind of a thing that was going on back then. I kind of want to think that I was ahead of the curve, but I did get a lot of shit for it from other photographers. And again, looking back now, we're all out taking pictures, and the pandemic is much, much worse. So thanks for all your shit talking back then, everybody. I loved it. Yeah, and that project went really well. I also, at the end of April, did my Vancouver Interrupted video, which was a nice little filmmaking project that I did on what should have been a busy spring evening in downtown Vancouver, in the tourist and restaurant and entertainment areas of the city. Again, everything was boarded up still and closed, and the streets were fairly desolate. Looking back, I could have made that video about half as long as it was. I need to be a little less precious with my shots when it comes to filmmaking, something that I'm learning. Filmmaking for me is something that I want to do more of, as opposed to photography, which I've done less of this year. Yeah, we'll see what 2021 brings us in that department. But yeah, easily my most productive month of 2020 was April, and I thought that's how the rest of the month was going to go. Or sorry, I thought that's how the rest of the year was going to go. It did not. Just checking my list here. There's some crows having a fight. I don't know if you can hear them or not. Right over here. Really upset about something. May, I started developing my own film. Black and white film specifically, for the first time, which was awesome and continues to be awesome. I'm so glad that I did it and do it still. I also started an Etsy camera store. Yeah, I sold a bunch of film cameras that I never used, and I haven't really sold anything in the last few months. But I think there's going to be another little purge coming up fairly soon, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm just not using, and it's just collecting dust, and I think somebody else should probably be using that stuff. I also turned 42 in in May. So yeah, I'm getting old. June was a bit of an interrupted month as well. I went to a big Black Lives Matter protest here in Vancouver and did some photography, and it was great. Everybody was wearing masks, and I don't think there was any big surge of the virus after that protest. So, kind of showed me that masks worked well. I was kind of worried about it, to be honest. You were sitting in a place like this and people are like out for a run and you feel guilty? I don't either. Also, I had eye surgery in June, so I was legally blind in this eye up until June, and I had a lens implant put in, so I had a cataract in this eye, and I'm pretty young for cataract. Are you guys serious? I'm trying to record here. These crows. So the rest of 2020 vision-wise has been outstanding. I can see with two eyes, and I don't know if a lot of you realize how weird it is to see with two eyes after only seeing with one eye for the better part of a decade, but having stereo vision, it took my brain a while to sort of get used to it again. There's a lot of nausea associated with it, almost vertigo-like symptoms. So it's been good though. So in July here, the restrictions were quite a bit more eased than they were earlier in the year, and a lot more than they are now. So we made a trip to Vancouver Island, to Ucluelet and Tofino, which are on the west coast of Vancouver Island, right on the Pacific Ocean. And I brought along an old digital camera that I had bought to review, the Fujifilm S2 Pro. Is that what it's called? I think so. If it's not, I'll put it on the bottom here. But I love that camera. I love it. It's essentially a Nikon D80 or F80 film camera with a weird Fuji CCD sensor in it with like diagonal photo sights instead of horizontal and vertical. Love that camera. I shoot with that camera all the time. It is great. Yeah, I absolutely love it. That trip was awesome. You know what? I'll get to Ucluelet pops up later in the year again. We'll get to that. So again, in August, travel was possible locally. So I took a solo trip to the Sunshine Coast. I generally try to do one or two solo trips a year, and that was really my only one. I mean, I had the San Diego trip in March, but I just came right home again, so I'm not really counting that one. And that trip was nice. I sort of had some time to reflect on life and all kinds of stuff. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but I'm sober. I've been sober for almost 5 years. My 5 years is coming up in about a week. And kind of around that time, I was really grappling with this pandemic and my sobriety and really struggling. And it's not something that I talked about a lot at the time, but I talk about it a lot now. I'm going to put a link to, I'm part of a podcast with my sober pal Derek, and I'm going to leave a link to it down below. We've really embraced it this year and gone full, like, sober guy. That's our thing now, I'm really proud of it though. But yeah, that trip was great. The Sunshine Coast is beautiful, and took some shots. It was more of a filmmaking trip, but I'll pop a couple of shots in here. I got some great shots of the moon while I was there, and that's sort of been a theme of the year for me, is taking pictures of the moon with my 100 to 400. It's just a great combo on the XT30 or the XT20. I love taking pictures of the moon and seeing the textures up close and the craters and the everything about it. It's really, really cool. All right, moving on to September 2020. We had a lot of forest fire smoke here in the city, not from local forest fires, but mostly from huge fires in Washington State, Oregon, California. And it was just apocalyptic here. It looked like, if you've seen Blade Runner 2049, when they're in post-apocalyptic Las Vegas, it looked like that. And I did a photo project called Smoke City, where I walked around Vancouver and took a bunch of photos of really what it looked like, how orange everything was. It was wild. And then later in the month, I actually took a social media break from Instagram and Twitter for about a month. And, I had some anxiety and some, issues relating to my sobriety again that were really, really causing me a lot of grief. So I decided I needed a break from just getting inundated with everything on social media. And that was in the couple of months leading up to the US election. So the news was always just so negative and crappy, and the pandemic was really starting to rage in America, and things were starting to get bad here again as well. And it was a much needed break. I'll probably do another one in the new year. I think that it's a healthy thing to do. I felt kind of detached from everyday news as somebody who uses social media like a tremendous amount. But at the same time, it was nice to not know everything that was going on all the time, because I don't think you need to. I think it's healthy to not know absolutely everything that happens every day to everyone. So I also deleted my Facebook account completely this year, which has been amazing because I don't have to see which of my relatives are racist idiots, which is awesome. I just would rather them be racist idiots and never have to see it or see them, quite frankly. So there you go. October, I didn't really do any specific photo projects, but October, the light really starts to get amazing here in the evenings, and I did a lot of shooting just with my smartphone of sort of autumn sunsets in the city. That autumn light in the late afternoon, early evening here. Oh, it's beautiful. So I'll throw a couple of shots up, some big panoramas of the city and stuff like that. It was great. It was, I didn't do anything project-wise, but I liked the stuff that I was getting just casually then. Autumn light, man, it's such an underrated thing. November was a month where I really tried to sort of get back on the horse and make some YouTube content. I've made some content in the last half of this year. It's mostly been brand partnership stuff. Made a gimbal video, made some camera accessory videos. I've got some more of that coming up, so stay tuned for that if that's something you're into. But I decided that I was going to throw my 100 to 400 on my X Pro 1 and try to go photograph eagles. And I had a great time. My daughter and I went out. I filmed the whole thing. I got some shots. I'll put some of the shots up here. But I just never did anything with it. So I have all the footage. I have everything. I'll probably never post that video. There's nothing wrong with it. It'd probably be a good video. And I think it would honestly get a lot of views because people seem to love that kind of weird old camera trying to do modern shit videos. It's not even an old camera. Like when I say old camera, I think like, 70s. But now an old camera is something that's 7 years old. The technology just has moved so quickly. I didn't do anything in November. Absolutely nothing. And then in December, I really got into home renovations, and I replaced all the floors in my house, did it all myself, destroyed my knees and my back, and I think it turned out great, but now I realize that I have to redo my kitchen because it doesn't match anymore. So home renovations is just like throwing money on top of money on top of money, and then if you do it yourself, it's also destroying your body. So it's great, but it looks great, and I'm glad that I did it. I have some little stuff left to do. The bathroom and the main entrance, I'm going to do those after the new year, and then finishing up the casings and stuff like that around the doors and the baseboards. We were supposed to go away for Christmas this year to Ucluelet. Again, we had reservations. We had everything planned out. We bought snow tires for the car because we had to go through a mountain pass to get there in the middle of winter. But then some travel restrictions were announced here, and we sort of waited and waited and waited to see if they would be relaxed, and they weren't. So we had to cancel that trip. And Christmas, I mean, it's 2 days after Christmas right now. And Christmas was weird, but it was good. I think we made the best of it as our little family. We didn't see anybody. It was just the three of us and our dogs. Yeah, I know it's been a weird year for everybody, and I'm sure Christmas was weird for you too, but I did see just an absolutely alarming amount of people social distancing and being in the same room as multiple family members and households and hugging each other with masks on, talking about how much they were sacrificing for Christmas. It just blew my mind. Like, man, people just don't get it. But, I can only be as safe as I can be. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Keep yourself safe. Keep your family safe. Yeah, so that's it. That's kind of all I did for 2020. It was a really unproductive year overall, in a time when, I had a lot of free time to do content creation because everything else that I wanted to do was closed. I didn't really travel because I couldn't. Normally I would do at least one big trip, and I tried to, but it got canceled. We were also supposed to go on a big family vacation with my extended family in July. We were supposed to go to Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim later on in the summer. All of that stuff got canceled. So looking forward to 2021, and this vaccine cannot come soon enough. I hope that everybody believes in science that watches my channel, although from the comments I understand that some of you do not, and that is pretty disappointing. But please get vaccinated so that we can go back to somewhat of a normal life. We have rebooked that big family vacation for Christmas of 2021. Fingers crossed that the world will be in a state that we are actually able to do it. Looking ahead content-wise to what's happening on this channel in 2021, got a big collaboration with another YouTube channel coming up in February that I think you guys will think is great. I can't really talk about it yet, but you'll definitely know the channel. If you watch this channel, you'll know that channel for sure. And I'm excited about that. Excited to work with them and some other YouTubers. I'm going to do hopefully some more film photography this year. That really didn't work out this year either. I did a bit, but I could have done more. I should have done more. I am going to try to find some weird old cameras, especially old digital stuff, to review this year. I enjoy that quite a bit. The limitations of early digital sensors are fun to explore, and you get a very film-like look from early CCD sensors, which I love, without the hassle of having to develop the film. So, yeah. Yeah, that's it. I just, thought we'd sit down and have a chat. It's been a while. I appreciate each and every one of you who subscribes to the channel, watches my videos. If you could leave a like on this video, that would be very much appreciated. It helps other people find the channel and see the stuff that we're making here. And who knows what's going to happen in 2021, but I am cautiously optimistic about it, and I think that things are going to be better. It's hard for them to be worse than they were in 2020. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, you guys. I appreciate it, and I will see you all very soon, hopefully.